Alright, hello, welcome. No one's here, but that doesn't matter. I do this for me. My name's Frank. This is Premarket Wake Up. My community is called No More Paper Trading. Link is in the description if you are watching this later. I haven't put a whole lot of work into it yet. If you haven't noticed, there's a lot of other things happening in the markets right now. I'm trying to make money first. Eventually this will grow, or as organically as possible. I want to build a community of people who just want to become traders, nothing else. I'm not going to sell anything, ever. Nothing like that. Anyway, I've said it before, I've been through it. Let's get into it. I want to take a look at the news real quick first. Then we'll take a look at a couple things I found interesting in futures equities in the overnight. You might have already seen it, might be obvious, but let's get into it. A whole lot of websites are down right now. I'm sure it'll come out later, they were hacked, or who the heck knows. FX Street is down. I think Twitter's down. A whole bunch of others are moving real slow. Cloudflare. There's problems with Cloudflare. Anything Cloudflare related, there's problems. So, can't look at that. Anyway, I will simply tell you what is coming up on the economic calendar because I don't have a way to show you. I'm looking at it on TradingView instead. We had continuing jobless claims. Was that early this morning? See, this is why I don't like these calendars. They're not the best. Why would continuing jobless claims come out at 5 a.m.? Is that right? Why would that come out at 5 a.m.? I don't know. Coming up, we have factory orders at 10 a.m. Look out for that. Fed speech at 10:30, Fed bar. I wouldn't really pay much attention to that. What else? Not much else. Let's take a look at the headlines. If you haven't watched any other streams, which I'm sure you haven't because nobody has, I'm shorting right now a whole bunch of the AI stocks. Palantir, Nvidia, AMD, Microsoft. I know Microsoft isn't really an AI stock, but they're investing in it heavily. And Microsoft just sucks in general, so it's a good reason to short them. It's going to be a short-term short. Generally, I don't see me holding this into next year. All the recent pullbacks in the market have been very brief. Now there's a couple of key signs that I've seen lately that show it might not be so brief this time, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make money on most of my positions and let a third of each one of them run for as long as possible with a trailing stop. Lock in profits. You should always do that. And let some of the trade run for even more profits. To the point where if it does come back and hit a stop, you still made money. Alright, let's take a quick look at these headlines. I wanted to look at this article right here. Nvidia is set for 320 billion price swing after earnings. Options indicate. New York. Nvidia's earnings report on Wednesday could trigger a 320 billion swing in the chipmaker's market value, the largest post-earnings move ever for the AI giant, as investors seek signals about whether the artificial intelligence boom is accelerating or cooling. Okay, they don't say which way the swing's going to be. NVIDIA options implied about a 7% move for the stock in either direction after it announces its quarterly results, which are expected following the market close on Wednesday. So I already have a plan before the market close to take some profits in my stocks, in my shorts, just in case it does move the other way. Not much else here that would really be important. Okay, this doesn't make sense. Stocks face a sell signal as cash holdings drop. Cash holdings drop. So if you, I would think if cash holdings are dropping, it means people are putting on risk into the stock market. But apparently not. Investors' cash positions dropped below a critical threshold in a monthly Bank of America Corp survey, triggering a so-called sell signal for equities at a time of rising doubts around lofty technology valuations. The average cash held by global fund managers fell to 3.7%, something that has only occurred 20 times since 2002. Right, but I thought people go to cash when the market's going down. I'm going to have to research this a bit later and see what the heck they're getting at. Stocks declined and treasuries outperformed in the following 1 to 3 months each time that happened. Again, this is why I'm not going to hold into the new year. These things usually fix themselves quite quickly. I think even if you look at 2008, that so-called crash, it recovered very quickly. It started recovering very quickly. Stock markets are already showing signs of strain following a rally in the MSCI All-Country World Index this year, as investors worry about a potential bubble in artificial intelligence stocks. The S&P 500 is now about 3% below its October peak, while swaps traders have lowered bets on a Federal Reserve rate cut in December. I really don't understand the whole cash thing. Investors' cash positions drop. Maybe that's a sign of them going to bonds, safe assets. But you would think if they're not going to cut, I don't know. Well, Bank of America gives terrible interest on cash, so that could be. All right, what else we have? AI doubts extend Wall Street sell-off and Home Depot profits fall short for third time. S&P futures slipping. So one thing that starts to worry me is when you have full news coverage of a so-called bubble, that's right as a recovery is about to happen. Whether that's, a one-day recovery or brings us to new highs. But you always get that. The news is always lagging. Once in a while, you can get an idea of what's going on from the news, or you get an idea of kind of what they're hinting at. A lot of what sparked my research into the AI bubble, and if this is the spot it's actually happening, was an article where, I forget what major bank, but a major investment bank, maybe it was Goldman, I don't know, they're all the same. The heads of that bank were saying, expect a 20% drop in the market. And they were saying it at a huge financial meeting I think it was in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is Chinese. They're no longer independent. So the fact that they were saying this in China to basically China and the rest of the world. That was significant to me. But it wasn't just that. That has happened before, and the markets keep going up. There's other signs, which I'll get to right now. Right here we have the daily S&P. This head and shoulders. I mean, this is S&P futures, but I'm sure you could see this pattern in the SPY. As you can see, we have a head and shoulders forming. Not only that, and we've just broken below it for now. We'll see if we stay below it. Not only that, but also the fact that every return to a bull market after a pullback has happened with lesser and lesser volume. You can't really tell so much on the futures because the volume's going to be skewed towards, because this is a contract, this is the futures December contract. But if you look on SPY, which I think we can show it here. Yeah, this is the day. You'll see it in the volume in the SPY as well. Less and less volume, especially recently. I don't know if it's zoomed in enough. But this is when I opened my short positions. I know the timing was bad, but and the signals actually confirmed it afterwards. But so many times in the past, I have decided not to pull the trigger on a trade because I figure, oh, it's down so much. There's no way it can go down more. Kind of like, why would you buy at the top or why would you buy at the bottom? Because it might not really be the bottom or it might not really be the top. So I was just anxious to get into the positions. Anyway, as you can see, this recovery was very muted. And we are no longer making new highs. And you can see the head and shoulders here as well. Also, let's take a quick look at the overnight in a more near-term case. Both the ES and the NQ falling in the overnight. But one thing I want to point out, I can tell just from looking at this, the increased volatility. Price does not or hardly respects any key area. And you're not used to seeing these types of ranges on one candle, one 5-minute candle in the overnight. The same thing on the NQ. Perhaps down a little bit more. I did some pretty poor trades last night. Because as I want to point out, if you look at the VIX, this is the 5-minute VIX. Essentially, anytime we're above 20, I've noticed that price does not respect key areas. It notices they're there, but it doesn't hit them right on for a good scalp. But like I was just saying, we might be heading towards a recovery right now. The fact that we are moving towards contango again, that could be. Although we are moving up right now. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The Russell also falling, very similar pattern to the ES and the NQ. Oops. Same thing with the Dow. So that could actually signal that we are ready to continue falling more. I think if we go back to last Friday, no, I'm going to say 2 Fridays ago rather, to the 7th, you will see that despite the S&P and the NASDAQ falling, that the Russell and the Dow were doing okay. But now that they're falling as well, that could be a clear sign that we are ready to head lower. But I would wait until you see it in the VIX. Confirmation in the VIX. Gold also heading higher. That's a good sign towards the market fall. But it's not as strong as I would like it to be. I don't know if other macro issues come into gold's price, but gold as an escape commodity for people to leave equities and move into gold, I don't see that quite yet. But we'll see. Oil also going up in the overnight. Oil's entering another, if we look at the daily, another triangle here. So look out for which way it'll jump out of there. And lastly, let's look at the dollar. Dollar pretty flat in the overnight after increasing quite a bit yesterday. Look out for the dollar too. That could confirm a drop. If we continue to see the dollar rise or stay flat, you need a whole bunch of pieces to this puzzle. And even then, it could not happen. But we'll see what happens for the rest of today. All right, that's all I got for now. A little bit short today, but I'm anxious to get working. I don't know if I'll be streaming Wednesday or Thursday. I had a lot of random plans this week that are floating all over. I don't usually like that. I like things to be set in schedule, but it is what it is. I'm hoping to be Friday at the least streaming again. I might be here tomorrow or Thursday, but I think one of those days I will not be. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Nobody listens. Goodbye. Good luck.